because I kind of am not a big part of paparazzi culture, I have not done mainstream Bollywood masala films, and I'm not in the limelight a lot, and I haven't decided to take my career in that direction from the start. I think that it's like, oh, he's Anil Kapoor's son, but how come he didn't do this and how come he didn't do that? Something must be off. Something must be, I wonder what he's like, and he must be like this only. There will always be a small minority of people that just decide not to like me because of who I am. Yeah. I can't do anything about that, and I've made peace with it. What can I do? So because when I read certain things, I'm like, this person has not even really taken the time to watch something, or they've already come into it thinking that they're not going to like it. You feel very lost, you feel very isolated, that you think, I'm working hard. I understand everybody works hard, but I've kind of stuck my neck out here and done something really different, and I really wish that people would see it, but I don't think they're interested. And that makes you feel very helpless. I've had actually producers tell me that you need to sound dumb in your interviews. You come across as too intelligent, and it's, you get, you're going to alienate the audience. And
he might be Anil Kapoor's son, but clearly he doesn't have trappings of a star. And I am telling you from experience, many might feel that Harshvardhan Kapoor played a character like himself in his short In Ray. But let me tell you, Vic is anything that Harsh is not. So Harsh, welcome to Bollywood Bubble for this conversation. Thank you. Because, when I looked at Ray and when I looked at Vic, and the first thing I said is that this guy is playing something which he absolutely is not, and he stands against in terms of life choices, Do you agree?
I think Vic is a very self-involved, narcissistic individual that's very conscious about how he is perceived, and has done very mainstream work and become a big star. So I don't see myself as a narcissist, and I am also concerned about what I kind of put out there and how people perceive me, but I'm not attention hungry like he is. I'm not I think I am insecure, as we all have our own insecurities, but I think we're very different in a lot of ways, like you pointed out, and like I've kind of talked about. I think I'm a lot more, I know what I think also the thing with Vic is he's really been struggling to do the kind of work that he wants to, and he thinks that he's capable of. I think I've been lucky enough to kind of do the work that I want to do. So I've never been stuck in that conflict or that conundrum, and I don't think that I have one trademark that the audience kind of knows and loves me for. I think I'm kind of still a bit of an unknown entity, and so we're very, very different. I think it's just an easy way for people to kind of say that he's good because he did well because he's playing himself in these two films. So
but Harsh, from the time that your debut film's trailer released till now, that there has been, of course, all actors, especially people from your family, have come out and said, whether it's Sonam, whether it's Arjun, that you have to battle with perceptions, media created perceptions, and it only stems from the fact that you're a Kapoor, which is where you are saying the thing, right? That people feel that you're playing it well because it is very close to how you are in real life, but people don't know the real you. Do you feel that is the reason why people actually perceive you to be a certain way?
Yeah, I think obviously when you don't really have an insight into what someone's like, you're more likely to make assumptions about that person. I think because I kind of am not a big part of paparazzi culture, I have not done mainstream Bollywood masala films, and I'm not in the limelight a lot, and I haven't decided to take my career in that direction from the start. I think that it's like, oh, he's Anil Kapoor's son, but how come he didn't do this and how come he didn't do that? Something must be off. Something must be, I wonder what he's like, and he must be like this only. So all that, kind of is the way that people think. But I think after AK versus AK and Spotlight, and over time with people watching Bhavesh, all thanks to these platforms like you and I were talking about before we started recording. I think that now people at least have an insight into the kind of work that I want to do and what I can do when I do good work or when I do good films. So I think those two things have kind of happened a little bit in the last 12 months. What I still haven't managed to do is reach out to a wide audience. because while Spotlight and AK versus AK and Bhavesh, I believe that these films are of a certain quality. Obviously, they all have their flaws, as does every film. But overall, I'm kind of aware of the artistic integrity, creatively what they stand for, and how good they are in many different ways. I still haven't had that one film that has reached out to millions and millions and millions of people. Like Ajab Prem Ki Gazab Kahani, or
Main Tera Hero,
or a Ram Leela,
yeah,
or a Sonu Ki D2V Sweetie. So obviously, because I'm Anil Kapoor's son, that is the expectation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was coming to
that one film. So it's like how Varun did a lot of those films and then did One October and then has gone back to doing those films. For me, I've done 4 or 5 Octobers, if you know what I mean. Not literally, but in terms of the kinds of movies,
The type of film,
in terms of the reach that particular film has. So now I'm kind of willing to continue doing the work that I have done, which obviously a small set of my people that admire the choices have appreciated. But I also have one eye on not limiting my potential and reaching out to 5 and 10 million people as opposed to 500,000 or 1 or 2 million people.
Yeah. The best part about you is that you're very self-assured, which is missing in a lot of newcomers, insiders or outsiders. That is the way they segregate you, and it's really sad. But I want to say that when you talk about expectations, you're absolutely right that there's a certain expectation of you or out of you just because you are Anil sir's son. Everybody's expecting you to suddenly break into a Dhina Dhin Dha, which you never wanted to.
Right.
But when I see you getting the love for the monologue in AK versus AK, which had you in a very small part, and the shot that you did, which is Spotlight in Ray,
right,
I feel that you're slowly finding the ground that you want to stand on because you're getting your audience. Do you feel the same kind of validation in the response?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think you and I knew right away when Bhavesh didn't make money that it was basically it was missing the platform, really. It was missing the correct platform. I think the same exact film, with maybe 1 or 2 minor changes in the edit, obviously Vikram would have made, because then the film would not have been for theaters, so maybe 1 or 2 songs would have kind of got chopped out, as those were the limitations that were placed on us, because at that time you had to have a music album to market the film through those channels, which seems like a million years ago now, but it is actually only 3 years ago, so I think the film would have come out on Netflix more or less the same, a little bit. It would have been maybe 5 or 10 minutes sharper, because there would have been no Chavan Prasha, there would have been no songs, and it would have, I think, done really well overnight. Kind of like what happened to it anyway when it went on Netflix. But it had the baggage of not having made money, and it had the baggage of being my second film, and those things kind of that it had to get rid of with all the acclaim that later came its way. So if it had been a Netflix original, number one, it would have had a lot of marketing, which was completely missing. It would have reached out to the correct audience through Netflix subscriber base, which is very diverse and looks for alternative entertainment.
Accepting also evolved audience. Harsh, you had a very un-starkidish debut and choice of films in the kind of work that you have done already.
Right.
But you are always labeled a starkid. Do you sometimes feel that being somebody's son has worked against your image or the image that you want to create for yourself?
I think that there were some people that kind of got on my side after Bhavesh. Then after AK, some more people got on my side. And after Spotlight, some more people kind of have... because what's happening is they're kind of becoming more aware of the work, the kind of work, the choices, the personality, etc. Obviously, when people don't know me, they just kind of assume that I'll be a certain way because I'm Anil Kapoor's son. So I think over a period of time, hopefully I can keep doing the kind of work that I'm doing and change more people's minds. But having said that, there will always be a small minority of people that just decide not to like me because of who I am. I can't do anything about that, and I've made peace with it. What can I do? So because when I read certain things, I'm like, this person has not even really taken the time to watch something, or they've already come into it thinking that they're not going to like it.
Yeah, they've come in with a conclusion in their mind.
Like if I read a lot of, considering 80 or 90%, a lot of the reviews for AK versus AK and Spotlight have been very positive. But, you know, when I'm reviewed by the international press, I genuinely feel when I read it, there's absolutely no bias when they write about it. Be it, and I'm talking about from Mirzia time. Like, yeah. I'll share the New York Times and the Forbes and all of these incredible reviews that we had got internationally. Even with Bhavesh, it's been consistent with me. And even if they criticize me, it's done in a constructive way. I think we have some incredible critics in our country. But, you know, I mean, in today's day, everybody has the ability to kind of critique your work because of social media. So you are tagged and you are kind of hashtagged. And so, you know, you kind of do end up seeing everything. Now, if you see 80% good, you will see 20% bad, you know, especially when you're doing polarizing kind of work. But I do think within that 20%, there are some people that I'll never be able to win over, you know, like even if I do 10 more A's or 10 more AK versus AK monologues or 10 more Bhavesh Joshis, there are some people that just don't want to accept, which is fine because that's human nature. You know what I mean? You always feel that maybe, you know, somebody else deserves an opportunity or life is not fair. And that's just the way that they are. And I can't change them. I can't change their minds. What am I truly in control of? I'm truly in control of the choices that I make and the work that I do within those films. That's all that I can really do. So I'm just trying to focus on that.
You know, I remember after Bhavesh, we had this discussion and we had a chat. Film failures affect you a lot. Maybe people don't get to know, people who don't know you don't see that side to you. But when a film doesn't work, it affects you internally. You go into a shell for a few weeks at least, is what I have noticed. Do you feel that being an actor or being a public figure, people tend to overlook that side? And, you know, when criticism like that happens at a time when you're already so vulnerable, that affects you a little more, right, mentally?
It's very difficult. It's one of the hardest things about this job. It is the kind of thing that makes you think about alternative paths, you know, because it's so inhuman, Nayan, think about it. You're spending a year, 2 years trying to make something with complete honesty. You have to be very vulnerable on set in the moment to try and be authentic, you know. So you're kind of letting your soul bare really on set. That footage is then captured, it's edited, and it's presented to the world. And then that society can kind of turn around and say whatever they want about you, and you have to just absorb it all, right? And some of us are more sensitive than others. We're you know, kind of built differently. And I'm somebody, this is not a good thing about me, but I put a lot into my work, you know, like in terms of the emotion of it. Because for me, my films are passion projects. You know, I don't see them as projects or career furthering opportunities. I see them as, this is the kind of work that I stand for, and so I'm going to take a personal approach to it. It's blood, sweat, and tears. So when something like that kind of does kind of not go wrong, I feel, because I don't think Bhavesh went wrong, but gets misplaced, let's say, and doesn't really get the eyeballs that I believe that the film kind of deserved, you feel very lost. You know, you feel very isolated. That you think, you know, I'm working hard. I understand everybody works hard, but I've kind of stuck my neck out here and done something really different, you know, and I really wish that people would see it, but I don't think they're interested. And that makes you feel very helpless. As you know, making a film is a huge process. It needs hundreds of people to come together. You know, to kind of have that viewership and belief from the audience really helps you be able to do that more. So it was very disappointing when Bhavesh kind of went missing. I remember I left the country for about a couple of months. And then it released on Netflix in August, and I started getting a lot of messages, and that's when the positivity started. A lot of people say to me that things change for you after the AK versus AK monologue, which I agree. But for me, in my mind, things changed for me when Bhavesh went on Netflix, because not the industry, but actual people that love films really started taking a notice. You know?
Yeah. You know, the film, the short. Actually, I call it a film only. It's an hour-long film. Yeah. Ray has a very interesting take on spotlight, the idea of spotlight and the trappings of stardom, and you know, the insecurities that come with it. Of course, he is a narcissistic character, but there are insecurities that he deals with. The fact that he can't cope up with the popularity of a Didi is insecurity, you know. How do you define stardom, you know, and have you ever felt the trappings of stardom yourself?
No, I don't think that I'm a star at all. I don't think, I genuinely don't believe it. I think that I'm someone who people have seen in a couple of films and, maybe liked recently. But I don't have any stardom. I think stardom is basically when somebody creates a loyal fan following, where those fans want to see a film just because a person is in it, or they want to kind of know everything about that person and they're enamored by that person, and there's kind of an aura around those people. Like Shah Rukh Khan is a superstar. There's an aura around him. If no matter what film he does, they'll always have an inherent audience of a couple of crore, millions of people. Salman, Ranveer from the younger lot, Varun, these guys are stars, so I haven't really felt the trappings of it, and I'm kind of blessed in a way because I'm still completely free to do whatever I want. I'm still completely free to do such an experimental film like Spotlight, or do a 5-minute role in a AK versus AK without being judged for it, or without my, having a million fans that all say that, no, we want to see you in this and only this, I think that's kind of what Spotlight is about also. No? He's wants to kind of break free and thinks he's capable of a lot more, but he's doing the same old thing again and again. So I kind of feel liberated in a way, and I don't really think too much about stardom.
But insecurities are something that happens to anybody, and it also stems from the fact that we compare each other, ourselves with somebody else. In the movie, your character compares himself and his popularity with Didi's, which is where the insecurities creep in. What makes you insecure?
I have a lot of insecurities there. So my insecurities are, people have thought that I'm good in my last 2 films. I better not be bad in my next film because they're going to rip me apart. So, let's open up the scene. Let's work hard. What else can I do? Is there? Am I missing something? Am I? Is there a false note? Can I dub something? Can I reshoot something? Can I? Did I come across as that? Just all of that. It's just really about the work. I'm insecure about kind of the work continuing to kind of show an upward trend. Basically, I'm insecure that one day that growth, I want the growth to be consistent, I'm also insecure about, I'm less insecure about this now, but when I started, I was very insecure about this, that I don't think anybody's going to be interested in my films. I don't think anybody's going to be interested in the kind of work I want to do. They're going to write me off just because I'm different. What am I going to do then? What will I do, So that is also an insecurity. I've never been insecure about my appearance. I've always been very comfortable in my own skin with the way that I look, with how I choose to dress. I've never been insecure with friendships or relationships as much. My insecurities are mainly, am I a misfit in this place? And will I find, peace and tranquility in this business that really doesn't allow you to be peaceful in a lot of ways, So I'm insecure about those things. I'm insecure about those things,
when you say this, it reminds me of an incident, and you're absolutely correct. I remember it was the same day. That time I was writing for a paper, a daily, and we had spoken a lot before that, but it was the first time we were meeting, and it was at Mehboob when you were giving those interviews, and my interview was lined up, and I remember from 10 a.m. you were giving interviews. It was 5 p.m. and you had got terrific pain in your leg, lower leg, in the right leg, and you actually asked people who were interviewing you, because it was not a video interview, it was print interview, that can I keep my feet on the table or the sofa, something small table that was there. I remember that was being written by another group, that you are badly behaved. See, I'm not saying that many people are not brash and arrogant, but that instance happened in front of me, so I can actually say that I do feel that you were being honest, and that's why you were considered a misfit, because people actually, do you remember that story that came out that...
I do remember. That was during Mirza promotions. I learned a lot from that incident. See, also when somebody comes into the industry, they're kind of naive. You have to figure things out when you work. You kind of understand what people are like, how sometimes you have to always have, like, after Mirzya, I feel I've always had my guard up a little bit, you know. I was very open to kind of talk and be very transparent and be very honest and sit down and have a normal chat. But I realized after Mirzya that I don't think people are ready for this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, I think I have to just kind of be a little held back. I have to be a little more conscious about what I say. And when I sit down to do an interview, I like to just be honest, you know. But it's up to the person on the other end of the of the interview to be able to say that, okay, this guy is being honest. He's you know, coming from a good place. He's confiding in me, so I also need to take care of him. You know, it's a two-way. Yeah. It's a two-way street. You can't expect somebody to open up and push them, and then go and twist and turn things to kind of sell copies and make them sound like somebody they're not. That's very immoral. You know, and sometimes I don't think that people do it from a malicious place. I think it's just a lack of understanding. You know?
No, it's also very similar to the character that you played. Not exactly, but he also battles a lot of perceptions. These were the perceptions that were created for you also right after you were introduced to everybody. Do you feel that way, that there were a lot of perceptions, which finally today I can say that a lot of it has broken and has been made into a myth. But in the beginning, people did think you behave and you talk a certain way.
Also, I think, Nayan, it was also that the fact that I was doing the offbeat cinema, you know, I think it was also that see, people have so much love for Anil Kapoor that there's almost a, they have a expectation that you have to be a certain way. Because there's so much love. So as soon as you're different and you've embraced that individuality, it's going to not be accepted right away. That it would be naive to think that it's going to be accepted right away. I've had actually producers tell me that you need to sound dumb in your interviews. You come across as too intelligent, and it's, you know, you get, you're going to alienate the audience, and you have to play. But the thing with me is, as you know, and I think it's become very clear to whoever's watching this also, that I can't do it. You know what I mean? So I can't do it within the films, and I can't do it, within the choice of films, and I can't do it in interviews as well. So every time I feel like I'm talking to someone that maybe is on a little bit of a different wavelength, I just keep my answers shorter, or I just handle the interview in another way, you know? So.
But you don't fake it. I always feel that you've been one of the most honest people we have. You say it as is. And I think it runs in the family, whether it's your father, whether it's your sister, whether it's you. And actually Arjun and everybody, whoever I've encountered or spoken to in the family, they've always been real honest people. And sometimes honesty is an issue, especially this is a make-believe world. You know, but one thing that has stayed with me...
Nayan, do you remember when you wanted to do the interview with me and Sonam, and I was very reluctant and you chased me and I said, no.
Yes.
That was my lowest phase. That was what, 2019? 19. You know, because at that time I was just like, Bhavesh has been out for about 6 or 8 months, and I don't know when my next film is coming. So I'm going to go and talk to Nayan. Again, I'm going to go with Sonam. People are going to say things, you know. I have no work to talk about at the moment. So why give people an opportunity to bring me down? Because I think also sometimes it's very important for people to remember that we're also just human beings with a lot of, we're very fragile, very, you know, need to be taken care of, need to kind of take care of our mental health a lot, you know, and it's interesting actually that I reminded you of that, because that was this is like, for example, now I'm coming off some really incredible things, reviews, etc. But my insecurities and fears are different, you know. Now I want to focus. At that time, I wanted to pick myself up and lift my spirits. Now I want to try and keep my feet on the ground. I want to disappear for some time to kind of work on my craft more, because I feel like everything I had to give, I gave these 3 films, you know, AK versus AK, Spotlight, and the thriller that's coming. Everything that I had in me, I've put into these films. So now I need to find something new. I need to have new experiences. I need to work on weaknesses within my craft, of which there are many. I need to, so the next time I do a slate of films, I have something new from inside me to give, you know. So, I kind of feel like things have kind of turned around, but like the insecurities will always be there.
Which is amazing. And thank you for this wonderful chat. And I want more and more happy things for you, because I know the idea that you have made for yourself when you started off. And I remember having this hour-long conversation with you where it was not an interview actually, we were just speaking, and you spoke about the things that you want to do and how people misjudge your intent. Today I feel that's a lot lesser, and I'm pretty sure that with these performances you carved a niche for yourself that you wanted to for yourself, which is amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Nayan. And yeah, let's catch up soon.
Bye. See you.